Hello, how are you today? I am so glad to be back here and doing another Google Hangout chat. I'm Carolyn Herfurth of the Biz Truth. My name's right there. You kind of can't miss it. But I was inspired. People keep telling me, Carolyn, like do this Q&A thing, have fun with people, engage with people, answer their questions, find out what's going on with them. And because it seems like whether I'm in a grocery store line, whether I am on the subway, whether I'm in a bar, it doesn't matter. I feel like people are always asking me questions, or I see opportunity to help people with ways to improve their business. I mean, for God's sakes, I'm the woman who goes to Times Square because I have a friend in town, and we hang out in Times Square, and somebody comes up and tries to sell us comedy tickets, and I'll be like, is that the best you can do for sales? Come on. If you tried this, or if you asked this, or if you did this, you'd probably sell more tickets. And why are you doing this anyway? Is this what I can find out anybody's story? I can help them improve their game, whether it's in sales or with your business model or something like that. So that's why I'm here today. And what I would love for you to do, I'm looking at people coming on and on to the chat. What I would love for you to do is just type in hi into the chat so that we all know that your chat is working. I see Marlene. Hi, Marlene. I'm glad you can make it this week. I know last week you were on a subway or some form of public transportation that kept you from coming in. So I do see a lot of people coming in. First, I don't know what red means. I see a lot of names on here. I'm not going to ban users, private message. Okay, all right. So this is an open call, and as you come on, just say hi in the chat. And from what I understand, it's in your lower right-hand corner is where you do your typing. And so today, here's the deal. Some of you probably want to talk about who your ideal clients are. How do you define who they are? What is it that is important to them? What is it they want? How do you position yourself as a thought leader with the people who are in your world and who you want to help, and what value do you deliver? So we can use that as a baseline. We can use that as a theme. And I'm seeing the hello, hi. So as I'm seeing people come on, I just want you to know that I think what I'll do to just warm you up, I will go back to the 4 Ds because I can't teach this enough. I cannot explain enough how important it is to have a thoughtfully, intentionally designed business model so that you've got the framework for how to do everything else in your business. Hi, Bryn. Hi. Is it Soraya? Did I get that right? My next door neighbor is a Zoraya. So I'm actually having dinner with their family tonight. And I don't know, is it Mala or Maya? And Sarah, hi Sarah, how are you? And I see Julie's here. Hi Joe, I love it. We've got a guy here. That's awesome. It's awesome. I see a Jody and a Judy. Okay, I'm gonna quit reading names because I feel like I'm on, was it Electric Company? Where they did, and I see Susie, and I see Nancy, and we'll stop with that. So we're gonna go as long as we go, as long as you have questions. I am not gonna make stuff up. I'm not gonna waste people's time. I will start with a little teaching, and then we'll dive into whatever questions you have about business or about sales. Just wanna check one thing before I go into it. We've got a lot of people here. Awesome. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so with that said, I'll do the quick review of the 4 Ds for those of you who don't know what the 4 Ds are, just to give you the overall structure or framework for how you can design your business. And then we'll get into any business or sales questions you have over that. So maybe 2-3 minutes on this topic, okay? So there are 4 Ds to designing your business. And the reason it's so important to design your business and do it intentionally is Maya, like Maya Angelou. Okay, got it. I thought that was it. Is to intentionally design your business so that it does what you want for it. You make a lot of sacrifices to be a business owner and to be an entrepreneur. And so everyone's so worried about doing what's right for their client, which is great. You want that. But if it's at the sacrifice of what's right for you, then that stinks. And I was on an interview this morning with a colleague out in Denver, Sherry Ruskus, of Victory Circle when your business model is off kilter. And I'll tell you what, I'm actually going to shoot some video this afternoon. So stay tuned and I'll come back and explain that. You can watch it on the video because there are so many different things that can talk about that. And maybe some of you will have, oh, Romper Room Magic Mirror. Thank you, Joe. I love this chat thing. So there are 4 Ds to designing your business. And the first one is declare. It's declaring what you want your business to do for you. The second D is define. That's defining what your business does for others. And then the third D is design, and that's designing your packages and the pricing based on the first 2, based on what you want your for you, based on what your business does for and what your business does for others. So that's the design part. And then the do part, this is going out and marketing and connecting with people and selling and closing business. So that's what your 4 Ds are. And you can see that they go in a circle. So you may declare what you want your business to do for you at a certain point or stage in your life, and then that might change. And you design your business around that, and then that might change. Something you want might change. So maybe your circumstances change. Bryn, who's on the phone, moved from California to Reno this summer. That creates change. It creates a difference in her lifestyle, her income needs and wants, and maybe fantasies. And so there are a lot of things that can play into that. And part of the move is because of what she declared that she wants for herself, which is to be around more family, because she has a really awesome sister who I know and another sister. And so anyway, so when it comes to last time we did talk about declare, you can actually go back and watch that Google Hangout if you this time let's just talk about defining. And this is really, it's really interesting because it's so like us to want to be all things to all people. And that is the most dangerous thing you can do. And it's so important to just get incredibly specific about who you want to deal with. What is it they want? So I'm going to say this, and it might be a little controversial, but people don't buy what they need, they buy what they want. They always buy what they want. Hopefully that want and need, like if it's a want and a need, then whoo, that's awesome. But it doesn't always happen that way. And it's also incredibly important for you to position yourself as a thought leader and have a point of view. Like, why are you serving this group of people? What is it about them that gets you fired up? And what do you take a stand for on their behalf? And when you can start working those things out and articulating what those things are and who they are, and then the value that you deliver. So what's the transformation people experience? What is the what's the transformation? What value do you deliver? What benefits do they get by working with you? What results do they get by working with you? And when you have that really super duper clear, it makes it so much easier. And I know, and I'm not sure where all of you are in the growth level of your business. Some of you may have had businesses for quite some time and you're evolving into a different stage. Like I'll use Bryn, for example. Again, Bryn, I hope that's okay. Bryn was a designer for 20 years and doing freelance. And she has this gift and this skill for really seeing branding and the bigger picture. So design is just one part of the bigger picture of the way a company or an individual is branded. And so she has been moving into that. And the way she's doing that is much more, it's not trading hours for dollars, where what she was doing as a graphic designer. She's doing it and working with people in a much different way at a much higher level, and working with them she had to get really specific about the type of client she wants to take on, who she wants to work with. So that's an example of where things might change for you. So when I was on the interview this morning, Sherry asked me, she said, well, you know, there's a lot of resistance around people just choosing one perfect peep or one ideal client or audience because we don't want to leave anyone out. You know, God forbid we leave anybody out. And God forbid that, you know, they don't, you know, think that I could serve them, even though I could. And it's more about marketing and where you focus your time and attention more than anything. And if someone outside of that ideal client comes to you and says, hey, Maya, I want to work with you, then you have the liberty, it's your business, you have the liberty to say yay or nay. The other thing is, one of the things that I like to do when I'm defining who I want to work with, I like to define the characteristics. What is it about that, the people I work with, that I really look for? And if you're clear on that, and then someone comes to you who does not have those characteristics, it is your choice whether you take them on as a client or not. And so some people are like, oh my gosh, I've got to take them as a client. And then they suck the living life out of you. And others will say, no, you know what? Not worth the headache, not worth the hassle. They're one I'm going to end up having to fire anyway, so I may as well just like not work with them. So I'm curious, and let's just feel free to start typing in your questions. We've got the chat room is open. You're more than welcome to let me know what questions you might have around how to deal with clients, how to define them, how to find them. It could be a number of different things. So I'm waiting for you. I'm going to take a drink of water. I, of course, was at a Fleetwood Mac concert last night. Woohoo! Stevie Nicks, Christine McVie is back in the band. The band is together again. It feels like a high school musical. So it was fun. It's just that I, of course, have a little bit of a sore throat today. So, okay. Any questions for me, or do you want me to just keep babbling? Just type in keep babbling if you don't have a question for me. Because I did call this a coaching Q&A, which means you come with the questions, I'm here with the answers. So I'm going to take that drink of water. It is water. Don't make me call on you. Okay, Marlene. How do you find a client beforehand? In other words, how do you put lines down so they don't step over bounds before? How do you fire? Oh, not find. How do you fire a client beforehand? Okay, so kind of qualifying. Is that what you mean, Marlene? Just type a quick yes if I've got that right so I don't ramble. And Janet, I'll get to your question next. So how do you fire a client beforehand? In other words, how do you put lines down so they don't step over bounds? Oh, that is such a great question. So if I understand you correctly, I think it's a great question. So I'm a big, huge believer in setting expectations. How do you fire? Yeah, okay, fire, yes, okay. So this is about so Marlene, just to double check, no. How do you fire? How do you fire a client beforehand? Beforehand. So before they've hired you, how do you fire them? In other words, how do you say no to someone who wants to hire you? I'm looking at the chat, waiting for you to answer. Okay, she said, go ahead. So to me, this is about qualifying. And if I don't have if I'm not answering the question right, and I hope to God, Janet, I don't lose your question. Okay, I won't. All right, I'll come back to you, Janet. So it's a great question because it is so important to know who you really want to work with. And I have had people, and it sounds like you have too, Marlene, where people come to you and they're not qualified for one reason or another. Maybe you've decided that you want to work with people, you've declared, like, or you've defined who you want to work with, what their characteristics are, what their demographics are, maybe how much money they're currently earning in their job or their business, so that you ensure that they can afford you. In fact, I'll use an example. I have a client who sells a very high level concierge service, $4,000 a month, 6-month contract. And it's to individuals who, and it's not even for business. It's not for them to make more money. It's for them to find a mate, basically. And so it's somewhat of a coaching, online dating service. And she's very clear on what kind of money they need to be earning in their job, what their income is, in order to be able to even afford $4,000 a month. Because if someone's making $100,000 a year, you can't expect them to pay $4,000 a month to find the man or woman of their dreams. So for her, it's that qualifying of being very clear and then asking like, oh, we find, so she'll ask the question. She actually has someone who does her qualifying for her, but her qualifier will ask the question. So we find that people who fit into, who have this kind of income range are really good clients for our concierge service. Does that describe you? And so they can say, oh goodness, no, that is not me at all. Or they can go, yeah, no problem. So that's a way that you can qualify. So when you're clear on things that you know do not work for you and you're seeing it coming up in a conversation, you can say, you know what, I find that people who have, let me think of an example. You might say you don't, like I do not work with desperate people. If someone is in desperation mode, they're not thinking clearly, they're not thinking straight, and I need them to settle down and take a breath and kind of figure out something else before investing in anything that I do, especially if it's a higher level something that I offer. And so with someone who comes to me and I'm getting that vibes and I want to fire them before they hire me, I'll say, you know, I find that people who are in a situation where they're feeling a little desperate, like they're a little like high fear around their financial situation or what's going on in their business, they're usually not a great fit for my program. So how would you measure or gauge yourself on that scale? And so so no matter what it is, fill in the blank, Marlene, that's something that you could ask. So I'm going to just quickly scroll up. Hi, just got video buffering. Of course, you're going to have to come back and listen to my answer later, Marlene. Hopefully you didn't buffer all the way out, because I'm going to answer Janet's question and I'd be happy to come back to yours later. So I've got Janet and then Maya, you are up next, and then Carol. So Janet, what is the best way for an admin consultant to reach clients at your level? I'm not sure I understand your question. What is the best way for an admin consultant to reach clients? Janet, can you phrase the question in a different way? I'm not sure I entirely understand. An admin consultant to reach clients at your level. And I want to know if you mean at your level. Like you know who an ideal client, I understand what you do. So if you've got clients at a certain level, I'll put that down, who you know what the qualifiers are, maybe you can just hear it. Maybe you answered some, okay. So Janet, come back and just try to give me a little more on that question. I'm sure that it's very clear in your mind. It's just for me, I'm not entirely understanding it. So I'll come back to that in a second. Maya, what is the best way to determine what your target market wants versus selling them what they need, which is I know I'm definitely doing. Oh my gosh. Thank you for asking that question. I was at an event probably 3 years ago, and there was this marketing woman up front who's bouncing around the stage. She goes, people don't buy what they want, they buy what they need. And I'm like, that's bullshit. They do not. They do not. And so here's the deal. So one of the things that I'll ask, like I will just say, what is it you want? And so sometimes I'll ask, and I know that you're probably looking on a broader scale, like, okay, how do I figure out what all of my ideal clients want? Maybe not individually. But I've done surveys, I've done polls, I will outright ask people, like, what is it you want? And then I start to see I start to see patterns. So I'm able to look for that language. The other thing is, if you know your client's values, it helps tremendously. So let me just grab something here. I'm not going far. So I actually just sent out a bunch of these to people who are coming to my True event in a month. And this is what I call a values deck. And I created this for an event that I did 3 years ago. And if you know your client's values, what's important to them, it makes sales so much easier, Maya. I am not kidding. So this is a deck of 50 values, and you know what values are. So like, some people value competition. Some people value affection. Some people value fame. Whoops, fame, whoops. There it is. I personally, where is it? I wonder if it's in here. I don't see it. You know, fun, community, creativity, honesty, faith, family. So what I would encourage you to do is try to figure out the top 3 to 5 values that are common in your ideal clients. And keep in mind, they're not always yours. They might be different than yours. So, and I can give you an example of that later, but for now, I just want you to think about that. So if you're talking to someone, let's say that you, and Maya, I don't know, I think I should know. For some reason, I think you're a different Maya than the other Maya I know, because she has an I in her name. But let's say you're a weight loss coach and someone needs to lose 50 pounds. But they're like, oh, I don't want to lose 50 pounds. I don't want to. I would just, it's so much easier to keep on with the habits I've built up. It's too hard to change. I don't want it. I just want to keep ordering takeout and eating out and, you know, doing what my body craves, eating what my body craves. And then as you start talking to that person, you might find that they have young children. And the young children are very active in sports and activities and things like that. And this prospect of yours, family is really, really important, a top value. And they're not able to spend as much time with their kids at the playground and, you know, in the yard and doing active things with their kids, because this extra weight is like lugging them down. It's bringing them down. And so if you can get into a conversation of them finding out like how that's impacting their relationship and their family time, that starts getting closer to understanding what it is they want. Because you might find out, wow, you know what I really want? I know I don't want to, like, I know I need to lose 50 pounds. I don't really want to change my habits, but what I do want is more quality time with my kids. And I'm not going to get that if I'm huffing and puffing and, you know, carrying around 50 extra pounds. It's just not going to work for me. And that is how you start getting to what they want. Okay? So I'm going to go back up. All right. I'm going to go back up to Janet to re-ask. And so Maya, just type in and let me know if that answered your question. And Marlene, I want you to do the same thing. So, all right, I'm going to go up to Janet, and Carol, I'll come back to you. So Janet, how does admin consultants who want to work with clients that are like me, like me, okay, who is established, opposed to business owners just starting out? Is this a different Janet? I wish I knew what Janet this was. Janet, are you an admin consultant? Type yes or no, because it's going to help me answer your question. Okay. Who is established? Just okay. I think what I'm hearing is, I'm guessing you are an admin consultant. For some reason, I don't think you are, but maybe you're a different Janet than who I think this is. So, so I think what you're saying is, boy, how do you crack Okay, Maya, good. I'm glad that that helped. So, Janet, I think what you're asking is how do you crack into a business that you don't have? How do you work with people like me? How do you crack into this business if you don't have clients and you don't have as much experience as someone who's already established? So I think that's the question. I was confused because I thought that you were a different Janet. So how do you do that? Well, okay, great. Thanks, Janet, for clarifying. So what I would suggest, if I were just starting out, is you start off by, if you have a target list of people you know you want to work with, you ask your circle of friends and family, do you know anyone who knows this person? You'd be shocked. I remember, I mean, I used to get together with these women for brunch probably once a month for 2 years. And one day, one of the gals brought a list of a dozen companies she wanted to crack into. And she just handed the list around. She goes, does anybody know anybody here or here? And all of a sudden, people are, oh, yeah, I know so-and-so. Yeah, she's the CEO of this. Oh, yeah, I know her. Oh, I have a friend who knows so-and-so. So you would be amazed how, if using your network, if you have a target of how using your network actually can get you introductions. When I was first starting out, I did a telesummit, which, God, kill me if I ever do one again. But I needed to at the time, or thought I needed to at the time. And so there were people I had targeted. It was called Improv for Entrepreneurs. And I wanted people who had an experience in acting or theater or film or some kind of entertainment industry background who had become entrepreneurs. Because I wanted to talk about the importance of improvising in your business and taking, using those two concepts, because a lot of acting is improvisation and a lot of entrepreneurship is improvisation. So the event was Improv for Entrepreneurs. And I mean, I got Louis Anderson, who is a national comedian, through, you know, asking around. I got Lori Morgan Ferrero, who used to be on Baywatch. I got Andrew Locke. The way I got Andrew Locke, actually, I had been to one of his events, and I kept emailing and saying, oh, will you be part of my telesummit? Will you be a part of my telesummit? And I'm sure he's just like, get out of here, Blondie. And then one night, I was sitting in a hotel room, don't remember where, and I'm like, I really want to get Andrew Locke. And so I pulled out my video camera and I just recorded, hi, Andrew, this is Carolyn. Don't make me hunt you down. I know where you live. I'm going to come sit on your doorstep. Please say yes. I mean, literally, that's what I did. And I sent him the video and he wrote back right away and he's like, yes, I'll do it. So sometimes you have to be ballsy and creative. So I think the biggest thing is start with people who might know people. Ask if they know someone who might know someone. And sometimes you just start. Sometimes you just start. Sometimes you call that person directly and find out if they're happy or unhappy with their situation. And, you know, it's it kind of makes me think of, and you don't necessarily want to fly by the seat of your pants on those conversations. So I would recommend that you get some coaching around that before you do it. I have a great book to recommend. It's by Art Sobczak, and it's called Smart Calling. I'm going to try something by Art S-C-O-B. I don't know. I'm spelling it. I think I might be spelling it wrong, but let me see if this shows up. Tell me if that shows up. It's a book called Smart Calling by Art Sobczak, and oh, the C doesn't belong. I think it's S-O-B-C-Z-A-K or something. And it's great, a great book. In fact, rather than reinvent the wheel and use my old way, I actually work with, I have my clients follow that same system. So it's a great way for you to make calls. And you want to know who you're calling. So if you're going to call me, you darn well better know what my business is about, what I stand for, and how you think you can help me. and what makes you great, or where you might be able to fit in on my team or something like that. So hopefully that helps. Okay, I already got a perfect. I have the experience, just want to reach those people. You got it. Okay, Janet. I just want to keep reading. Marlene, I answered your question. Okay, so now I'm going to answer Carol's question, and then I'll come back to your question, Maya, about the telesummit, okay? So Carol, there we go. When you have 2 levels of clients, does it become necessary to have 2 very specific plans, or one that can be adapted readily to both clients? When you have 2 levels of clients, does it become necessary to have 2 very specific plans, or one that can be adapted? You know, I think that really depends, Carol. I think simple is better. So if you're, if you're doing the same thing but a higher level of service, so if you have a core of what you deliver to everybody, and then you have this higher level of service, more hours, more deliverables, more connections, whatever that is, then I think it is just, we've got our tier 1 and our tier 2. Companies or businesses or clients who fit into tier 1 are at this stage in their business or their life. I don't know what you do, Carol. So I'll just assume that you work with entrepreneurs. So you might say they're at this business in their stage in their business, and this is what they're looking for, and this is what they need. And then if you're tier 2, if you're talking to someone, you don't have to tell people you're putting them into tier 1 and tier 2. It's for you to say, okay, I know if I ask these questions and I think they're tier 1, then that's going to be my recommendation when I'm making my offer. And if I think that they fall into tier 2 because I find out, they've been in business for 5 years or more and they're making multiple 6 figures and they're doing this, then they're definitely tier 2 prospects. And so you just say, oh, well, here's the package we recommend for people who are in your situation and with your kind of experience level. So that's what I would do. I don't think that you need to have 2 very specific plans. I think one can just build on to the next. So tell me if that answers your question by writing in the chat, okay? So Maya, Janet, Marlene, Maya. Okay, so Maya, you asked a question. Why was the telesummit a bad way to get business? What would you recommend for coaches? Maya, I am just not, here's the thing with telesummits. I think they can be great. I also, and I've done a couple of them. I have hosted some myself. I have been guests on, I can't even tell you how many I've been guests on. And they can be great, or they can be total flop, fizzle, and they can be like, meh, it wasn't really worth it. So I'll tell you what I like more than anything, which is speaking. And that's because, and this is for me, this is for me, because everyone is individual. You have to do what's true to you. And so, what works for me. So I built my first business, the Entrepreneur Source, on speaking. I made connections. I found out who hosted speakers, and I would get on the circuit, and I would position myself as the go-to in the community. I was living in Minneapolis at the time, and that built a multiple 6-figure business for me. I was known as the go-to in my marketplace for being the woman to talk to if you wanted to buy a franchise, which is the area that I was in at the time, or even if you wanted to buy a business of any sort or start a business. People just came to me and they're like, you know what, we know that you know stuff about business that we don't, so you've got connections. And so the speaking really helped build up my credibility. It was a lot of fun, and it was a decent list builder. It wasn't like a national, but that was also a business, and I could work nationally. But I just found that working in my backyard, there was more than enough fruit to pick. just in my backyard. And that was living in Minneapolis at the time. So, you know, here I'm in New York and I could be speaking every night of the week if I wanted to. So that's one thing. The other thing that I found is I have done telesummits where I might get 1,000 people to my list. And with all the work and expense and kind of pain in the butt it is, it's kind of like, oh, for 1,000 people? I don't know. You know, I think my first one was 600 or something like that. It was such a letdown. And they're not even engaged people. Like, they're not even engaged. And I would much rather, there are days I just want to take my list and scrub it and only have the engaged people, the people who show up for stuff like this, who have real questions and are, you know, but want to engage in real time, because that's just who I am. And I find, you know, technology can facilitate that, or it can be a barrier to that as well. So I have found that if I do a kick-ass teleseminar and I ask 1 or 2 friends to mail for me, I can get just as many people on a really great teleseminar where it's just me. It's just me talking and teaching and doing my thing. So, you know, and that takes like a fraction of the time than a big telesummit. The advantage to a telesummit, though, on the other hand, is it does give you the opportunity to connect with other people. And I think building relationships with your fellow entrepreneurs is cool. It's funny because when I participate in telesummits, people don't have to ask me twice for information. If they're like, hey, Carolyn, you know, do you want to be on my telesummit? If I say yes, which I turn down a lot of them, but if I say yes and they send me the information, like, we have it turned around almost immediately, because I just want to get done. Like, I know what I talk about. I know my zone of genius. I know where entrepreneurs need the most help, what those 2 areas are. And so that's it. And if the audience or the topic doesn't fit into that, oftentimes it's just going to be a no anyway. So I hope that answers your question, Maya. Okay, Pamela, I see. Hello, Carolyn. Oh, hi. You were just saying hi. Art Sobchak, thank you for correcting. I am going to, hold on a second. SOBCZ. Okay. All right, let's see. I updated it. We'll see if that works. Hold on a second. Give me a second here. Okay. Okay. That was a funny reaction. Love your honesty. You're only going to get honesty from me, Maya. Yeah. I'm not out to sugarcoat anything. Okay, so Pamela, this is okay. Given what info I gave you, okay. All right, so Carol, you might have some more you want to add on to your question. Go ahead and do that. In the meantime, I'm going to answer Pamela's question. Okay, so this is a great topic. Foremost, one of my concerns. My clients are not aware that healing is possible without using the only things that their doctors are prescribing: surgery, radiation, and chemo. I love the value cards to find out their values. How do I get around selling to a client who does not know they want it because they don't know about it? Should I create an ideal description based on who might engage if they knew about me? Oh, that's such a great question. So what you're saying, and I'm glad that you like your values deck, Pamela, and I'm excited we get to spend a day together. So there are a couple of things you're going to want to consider, and I'm just going to just real quickly let everyone know that Pamela is a cancer survivor. She was able to heal her own cancer without the use of chemo or radiation or surgery. So she did everything naturally, and now she works with people who want to do the same and want to avoid going through that disfiguring, awful experience. So should you create your ideal client description based on who might engage if they knew about you? I think that you're going to have to two-step this, Pamela. I really do. Because ideally, you want people who are already thinking, like they're probably already eating organic. They might be people who are already going to yoga. Like, think about, well, I know your mom is the one who kind of like pushed you, you know, guided you down this path of doing things naturally. That is such a great question. I don't know that I have a really good answer for you either. Yeah, so my inclination, so, and I'll explain why I want to give it more thought than just give you a quick answer here. And we work together, so, you know, we'll be able to do that. But the reason I don't want to give it a quick answer is because you have to decide how much education, like how much education you're of course going to be educating people, but if you have to start off like with this convincing, because remember we talked about this last week, where the patient isn't the only I hate that term too, so I think you're going to use a different term. The client is not the only one involved in their decision about care. They'll make the final decision, but they have spouses, they have mothers, sisters, kids. They have all these people who are going to give them opinions, plus everyone else who went through, and they have to give them their 2 cents about what happened. And so there's a lot of information coming at them and a lot of decisions coming at them. And so part of me says, do you want to have to convince them that this is the way to go? But I don't think it is convincing. I think what you want is someone who is open to alternative. I think that's actually, see, sometimes I just need to talk stuff out, in order to figure out what I feel seems right. So I think it's someone who is open to exploring alternative paths to healing, and they aren't just dead set. If they are dead set on going the surgery and chemo route, I'm not sure that anything you say is going, like, I don't think any kind of advertising or marketing you do is going to get them to pay attention. It might, I mean, it might. I'm not saying that there isn't. It's just that I think that there's some, it'd be nice if they're an affinity or are open to the different types of medicine. So I want you to tell me if that helps you with your answer, okay? Okay, Marlene, okay. Pamela, did you see Marlene's note to you? She said she's actually open to solutions. Okay, Marlene, if they're not already open and seeking for an alternative solution, you don't want to seem like you're an interloper between them and the established answer. Yeah, I mean, here's the other thing. Pamela, so much of what we've talked about with you is that, and I know that this is like, some of you might be going, okay, I'm not even sure where you're coming from here, because you don't, Pamela and I are working together in my Evolve Accelerator program, but you know, we've already decided for you that what you take a stand for and what your thought leadership position is with the people in your world. And so the more of those stages you get on, and the more you share that message about changing the laws and putting your foot down, the more it's going to open people up to being open and not feeling like they just have to go with the establishment. So I really think the characteristic is people who are open to exploring. And if they're not even open to listening, it's like Democrats and Republicans. Some people are going to listen and engage in a, you know, all right, let's agree to disagree. And other people are like, you're wrong, screw you, move on. And so I think you want the people who are more, they're open. That's it. Okay, so Bryn, I get this question about educating though. Many of my target market don't even know what branding is. Continual challenge and of course opportunity. Bryn, I feel like with you, I don't have it on me, but with your business cards, you're doing a great job with some of your benefits questions. And I don't remember off the top of my head, but I feel like a month or maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago, you had come up with a handful of questions that really got to the heart of what branding does for you, not what it is. but what it does for you. And so if you're able to keep that line of thinking open and keep those, keep that spirit of, I'm not trying to convince anybody that they need to rebrand or brand in the first place. What I'm doing is I'm asking questions that get them thinking, oh, wow, I didn't know that this piece was missing, or I didn't know, I just, that this piece was missing, or, and then they're going to ask the question, well, how do I do that? And that's when you get to start talking about branding. So tell me if that, but Brand, I think your question, I really think that you're on track. You're totally headed in the right direction. So, okay. And Pamela, yes, you're right. They will need some education because they don't know. That's what you're here for. Like, absolutely. But it is that open piece. So, okay. I don't see any other questions. Carol, do you have something you want to add to what you asked me? Because it sounds like I got close to what you were asking, but I may not have hit the nail on the head, and I would love to do that for you. And while you're asking that, at Bryn, I get that. Came up this morning after a really bad presentation where the guy didn't connect with his audience at all, but clearly has a passion for it. What a perfect, oh my God, what a perfect example to be able to say to this guy, like, maybe not in the moment, but to say to this guy, so, you know, how did you feel like you connected with the audience? And he's going to say, oh, I thought I was great. I killed it, because he's man. And I'm not a man. Don't run. Don't run. I'm not mean. I'm just teasing. I always say that if you got balls, you can hang out with me. So, so seriously, I would ask that question and then say, well, great. Okay, so you really thought you connected with the audience. What kind of results did you get? How many people reached out to you? So that is what I think you could do with that guy and any other speaker you see who is not connected to their audience or the message that they want. So love, L-O-V-E, love it. Okay, Pamela, a solution, Lou. So Pamela asked, should my speech be about education or about a solution for those who are open? And I don't think it should be about education. I don't even think it should be about a solution. I think it should be about why the system needs to change. Because that's really your soapbox. You don't have to, like, you'll use some statistics and stuff like that, but it's not a soapbox, or excuse me, it's not education. It's not like, oh, and if you do this, if you eat greens, or if you juice, or if you eat raw, or if you do this, don't do that. Don't do that. You will bore the crap out of people, and you will not attract the people you want to attract. Because they're going to think that you're some granola, crazy woman living on the Upper East Side, when really that's just the how. What you're really talking about is there is a way that is a healthier way, a better way, longer term for our bodies, for our, you know, our community, for our relationships, for our world, for our nation. And so we've got to, you know, we've got to give women a choice. It's almost like, you know me, I'm going to go there, okay? So it's almost like the abortion debate, the abortion debate, you know, when it was the whole Roe versus Wade. This is kind of like, it was about giving women a choice. And people tried to make the argument about you're terminating a life. And other people made the argument, well, you know what? Women should have a choice in what they do with their bodies. And so you might want to think about it in that context. All right. Okay, Carol, your answer was supportive of my professional work in instructional design. That's all I needed to know. Okay, great. And Bryn said, the speaker said, talk to my wife. I'm the techie guy. Yeah, really? That's no surprise. It's, oh man, I speak at the New York Expo. I've spoken at 4 of their events since I've lived here in 3 years in New York. And I remember following, a guy following me. So my room was packed, 200 people, 200 seats and standing room, there was standing room only. It was crazy. So it took me forever to get out of there. So while I was trying to get out of there, the next guy started his talk. And he's standing there, and I don't know how many people were in there. I don't remember, but he's like, oh, they told me this, it was supposed to be busy and that there were going to be more people here. And, and I'm here to talk about something. And I don't remember what it was, but I just thought, wow, so you're making the 20 people who did show up for your talk feel like, wow, well, maybe I should be somewhere else more important because, you don't even appreciate the fact that I'm in your room right now. So he wasn't exactly the best speaker. Yeah, if I were a speaking coach, I would have gone up and given him I would have hung around and given him some pointers. Okay. Marlene asked, Pamela, are you talking to women who currently have breast cancer? Are you talking to people with family members who have had it and are at risk? Oh, I'll answer that for her, Marlene. She's talking to women who currently have breast cancer. But how interesting to be talking about family members who have had it and are at risk. So, Pamela, note to self. Thank you, Marlene. Okay, any final questions? I love your questions. Thank you. And even for those of you who are here and not asking questions, that's cool. Hopefully you're feeling like this is inspiring some answers for you and some things that are instigating new ideas. Pamela said, Marlene, still sorting that out. I don't know if you can read what the other one is saying, so I'm just playing interpreter here. Okay, going once, and because it takes a while for chat to come through, I'll say going twice. And Marlene says to Pamela, talk to a white shirt. And going sold. Okay, so I'm going to do more of these. I hope you like them. Tell your friends. I have fun, and it forces me to actually shower, do my hair, and put on makeup, which, that's what you're getting for now. Who knows? If we do these every week or every other week or once a month, I might get tired of that, but we'll see. For now, you get, well, I'm doing video today too, so it all makes sense. Marlene, references have to do with breast cancer. Okay, Marlene's telling me she can read it, so I can quit interpreting. All right, you guys have a terrific day. Thank you for being here. For those of you coming to the True event, I'm super excited. That's November 7th, so if you are not coming to the True event and want to know what it is, go to thetrueevent.com. And if you do know about the True event and you're not coming, I want to know why. You should be with us. Bryn's going to be there, and I'm trying to see who else is on this call who's going to be there. Pamela's going to be there. Janet's going to be there, different Janet. So doesn't matter. I'm excited for those of you who want to join us. Would love to have you there and answer more of your questions. And just, okay, Maya, what can we do to prep? Oh, Maya, awesome. So what can you do to prep before the 11/7 event? So here's the deal. Have you done Your Business Your Way yet? Gotta know that. So the first thing you want to do is Your Business Your Way, which is my program that helps you design your business model so that you get the big overall picture of the framework of your business. It's basically taking these 4Ds, these 4Ds, and fleshing them out even further. So there are a couple of audios. I walk you through these 4Ds. And so that's the, sorry, I'm sitting right by my door and bugs are coming in and out. I have the door open because it's kind of nice outside. So that's one thing. You definitely want to do your business your way. And if you have questions on that, I'm going to do another one of these Q&As next week. So what I would recommend is you make sure you get through your business your way and then ask some questions specific to that. Because here's the deal. That helps you set the overall framework for your business. And the true event is to pick one thing that you do, one program, one package, or one service that you offer. And we are going to take it all the way through from what do you want this to do for you in the scope of your bigger business and your life? What does it do for others? So what's the value people get? How do you package it? How do you price it? What's your marketing strategy going to be? What's your sales strategy going to be? Because the whole idea is, I don't want you to just come in with something random that doesn't fit into the overall business model and not have you clear on that, because it's so critical that you come in with the focus on that one thing and that it really makes sense in the scheme of everything else. Because if it doesn't, it's going to be hard for you to do. It's going to be hard for you to implement and execute. So your business your way, do that first. And then you're going to get like a huge map, a big true plan map that that will lay everything out for you. So and you'll get a little notebook from me. But if you want to bring, if you want to bring a bigger notebook, that's fine too. And I'll get you more information. You'll be getting more about this. Have you signed up though? Because your name doesn't look familiar to me. So I don't think I have a registration from you. So we need to talk if you just registered and I didn't know because I haven't checked for a while, or if you're under a different name or something like that. So will you please send me an email, Maya, Carolyn at thebiztruth.com, and just make sure we've got you on the guest list. And I'm super excited for it. So website again is thetrueevent.com, and you will walk away with a plan that quickly monetizes one of your products, programs, or services. That's the whole idea. So money for you. Okay, that's it. Thank you. We're close to the top of the hour. I'm not getting any more questions from you. So thanks for being here. I hope you have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week. And I'm going to do another one of these, I think next Tuesday it's on my schedule. So I'll let you know. All right. Have a good one. Bye-bye.